Treating my sleep apnea has renewed my appetite for life. What matters to me now is giving my family a little treat.
SleepTech Talk is brought to you by Fisher & Paykel. Fisher & Paykel Healthcare is a leader in CPAP mask design and innovation for over 20 years. Their unique technologies have benefited millions of OSA patients through their top CPAP masks. These advancements continue to further enhance patient experience and outcomes.
It's time for another show, and you know what that means? It's time for pre-cals. Gentlemen, what's going on today?
Hey Jerry, it's social media day.
Social media? What is that?
It is. It's influencer content creator day.
Okay. I've heard of such things.
Well, we've got an interesting guest with us today, Lindsay McFarland, who is at Sleep BFF. She is a content creator and does some really unique videos related to CPAP therapy, and sort of focus on women and women sort of dealing with what it's like to wear CPAP and some of the challenges and issues related to CPAP. But she makes it super fun, and her content in I think one of her videos that I saw has had like tens of millions of views. So she's a hot commodity in the world of social media and content creation related to CPAP therapy.
That is really incredible that she would have that kind of traction so early in what she's doing. She must have found a niche, something personal that's so relatable to everybody else.
Well, and it's funny because I've seen now some copycats who are out there. There was we actually had I don't know if you guys remember, maybe a couple of years ago, we had a content creator on the Kaja, I think was her name.
Right.
And, it's funny because most of the time those content creators, if it's about CPAP and sleep apnea, they always have a mask on. So, it's the whole, idea of catching people's attention, I think, with a CPAP mask.
I think it's really cool that what she's doing right now, and also on top of all of that, where she works, which kind of just fits hand in glove with everything. But more importantly, I think she gives a voice to the consumer and shows that it's quite real. And I'm actually looking forward to hearing what she has to say about the entire journey and how she got into this, because people look at us and ask, how do you how do you get into this? And we're like, we don't know, but I'd like to hear what she has to say about that.
It was so long ago, we don't remember. I don't remember all the details anymore.
We were children back then.
We were children back then. All right, let's go to the show.
Let's do it.
All right.
Soulish is redefining how sleep apnea risk is identified. Using a simple selfie-style face scan, our AI delivers a sleep risk score in under a minute. The Soulish platform then connects providers to evaluation, testing, and therapy through one seamless pathway, because every patient deserves expert guidance wherever they are. Choose Soulish. One selfie, better sleep. Scan the QR code to know more.
Lights out.
Welcome, everyone, once again to another episode of SleepTech Talk, the sleep podcast with your hosts and friends, Emerson Kerr, Robert Miller, and me, Dr. Gerald George Moneycarode. Folks, once again, another fantastic episode out for you. But before we do that, I just want to say thanks to you all for so much, for all the love you've shown us, all the likes, the subscriptions, and the shares to all the people out there. Because of you, we are doing this. We continue doing this. It's another year for us, and we are just so happy and excited to bring more content to you. A huge shout out to our sponsors, without whom we can't keep doing this. So be sure to check them out. And with that being said, Robert, what's going on today?
Hey, Jerry, thanks so much. Today on SleepTech Talk, we are excited to welcome Lindsay McFarland. She's also known as the Sleep BFF online. Lindsay's a respiratory therapist with hands-on clinical experience and currently works with ResMed, a leading PAP manufacturer. A proud CPAP user herself, she's become a passionate advocate for sleep apnea awareness, especially for women. Through her engaging content, she shares practical tips, breaks down CPAP stigmas, and helps patients build a better relationship with their therapy. All the warmth, real talk, and a focus on making sleep feel achievable. Great sleep feel achievable. What she's sharing today is her personal opinions and experiences and is not medical advice. She's also not representing her employer today. So, Lindsay, welcome. Absolutely fantastic to have you join us today, and look forward to hearing a little bit about your story and how you got into sleep medicine. But then I guess we should transition pretty quickly after you tell us about your sort of clinical background and how you decided to get into this world of social media and how you develop all of the great content that you do.
Yeah, thanks so much, guys. Really appreciate you having me on today. And I think you guys were one of the first ones that actually reached out to me when I started creating content. So I really appreciate you guys have always been supporting me. Yeah, I'm a respiratory therapist by background. I did my school and education in Toronto in Canada. Kind of did some work in the hospital, realized that that wasn't quite my cup of tea, transitioned into home care side. So working with setting up patients on CPAP therapy. Then from there, jumped into start to work at ResMed on the CPAP manufacturing side. And then I started to realize that I have a little bit of a creative side to me. So actually during the pandemic, I started a vintage furniture company. That was my first experience in content creation. So just like flipping furniture, taking fun photos of it, making fun reels. And then I kind of started to realize that I was missing that piece of it and I was starting my own sleep journey. And as we know too, there's a lot of stigma around sleep apnea and CPAP as well, particularly as a woman. So when I first started out, I didn't show my face, and that lasted all of like 2 months. And I was like, this is boring. I'm going to reveal who it is. And I thought I was like flying under the radar for quite some time until some like coworkers and friends were like, hey, I saw your TikTok. But yeah, just trying to make a fun space for people to show up and put some humor into it because I think it can be intimidating therapy to jump into.
Lindsay, when you had that sort of reveal moment, what happened? What happened with your friends, your family, your circle? Did your fears come true or were you surprised?
You know what? That's such a good question. I find when you start to make content, your internet friends become your best friends very quickly. And I think people that you've known for a long time are kind of like, what are you doing? And why are you doing that? And like, are you okay? Should we check in on you? So there's definitely that part, I think, when you start to post, because it's awkward, right? Like you've got 100 followers and they're like, why is she posting content every day? Like she's got this big audience. But I think now, as I've kind of grown into it, a lot of people have been super supportive. And I mean, my close friends and family have always been my rock stars and number one fan. My husband, every day at dinner, he's like, I'm so proud of you. Great, great content today. So it's good to have those people.
Hey, Lindsay, tell us some of the numbers. How many followers? How many, like, what platforms are you on today?
Yeah, mostly on TikTok and Instagram. So Instagram has been a slower climb, but I think it's above 27,000 now. And then it's actually slowly starting to surpass TikTok, which was my core audience to start. So it's about 27,000 on each one. I just started dabbling in Facebook last week. I'm a little bit scared of that platform, but we'll see. I think I've got like 6 followers there. So huge, huge numbers on Facebook.
Hey,
Well, we
it's
certainly
funny.
hope after this episode airs, you'll get a few more.
A few
10.
more, right? But
Yes, yeah.
hey, there was a saying, and his name escapes me, but he would say, "One in a row." That's how you get started, right?
Love it. So
Yeah.
true. Yeah.
All right, Lindsay. So how do you come up with all the content? I mean, that's the thing, obviously that is driving the growth and the engagement. And I know that you've started to pull in some other sleep influencers. I've seen some of the
Yeah.
videos. I am offended that you haven't invited Jerry or Emerson and I to
Oh, it's
join the
coming.
content yet, but maybe at one of the sleep conferences we'll be able to
Yes.
do things.
Do a little dance. Yeah. I think it kind of stems to from I'm a big music lover and I always like listen to music. So that's actually where I got a lot of my inspiration for like good lyrics, good things that I can tie in and tie back to sleep. And then honestly, just with CPAP every night, I'm like, man, this piece is frustrating. Or like, I bet so many people can relate to this piece. So either things that I've seen myself as a patient or in my real world experience too. I just try and write some things down. I would say like 50% of them I end up posting. The other 50% I sit on. I'm like, is that a good idea? Should I do that? So Has to go through the revision process for sure. Yeah.
Do you find that you're more self-aware through all of this, especially since you're trying to create content and you're a patient at the same time and a manufacturer? That's quite an
Yeah,
intersection of thought processes. How does that influence
totally.
you, and how much more aware of your sleep apnea and your journey are you because of that?
Yeah, I think that like when I first started, I thought that it was gonna be a lot easier than it was, and I realized that I probably wasn't as empathetic or sympathetic to patients when I was setting them up, and kind of like, you know, tough luck, kid, get through it, you'll be fine. And now realizing going through it, holy, it's hard and it's adjustment and it can take months, especially if you've got like family things, other health conditions going on, it can definitely be a lot. But it's so funny when people, I think in my professional world, bring up that content, it makes me like sweat a little bit. And I think like my face will get beet red talking about it because I'm like, oh, that's like someone else that's dancing on the bed that you're now having a serious meeting with, you know? Like, it's kind of hard to do
And
it, but
you've got some pretty vulnerable moments in your video,
oh,
right?
yeah. But it's just, I mean, even on LinkedIn, I just try to lean into it is who it is. Like I am who I am, and I don't want to be someone different, like online versus offline. It's just take it or leave it. Some people love it, some people hate it, but I just want to be consistent and show who I am.
So in your opportunities to, put your content out there, you've engaged with some of these other influencers. Like,
Yeah.
what's the collaboration look like as you are, having those types of conversations? And then what's the objective as you kind of go into it? Because I'm assuming you want an outcome that is going to, I guess, broaden your audience.
Yeah, broaden our audience, but it's also just a really fun like collaboration project. And we kind of just all put our brains together of like, oh, I heard this song and that could be really fun. Or like Valentine's Day is coming up. Should we do a drop of like our new C-pop single? Like, I think that that's kind of more where it comes from. Of course, the organic growth that you can get from it is great as well. But I think it really also shows like patients and users out there, like you've got CPAP friends too. And like if you're not talking to them about it, you should talk to them about it because there's a really cool group and community out there.
Do you see yourself as an influencer? I mean, I remember I was having a conversation about something and influencer came up, and then one of my sons said, "You're an influencer." I was like, "What are you talking about?" And then he said, "No, you're a YouTube channel." I forgot that we actually have this and have an audience and that sort of thing. Do you see yourself as that, or it's just kind of part of who you are? And have you forgotten that you actually have an audience like this?
Yeah, I think that sometimes I forget. I think I more lean into like the content creation space versus like influencer, sort of, so to speak. Like at the end of the day, I just want to create a place that people feel like welcomed and like can come and share their opinions. I don't really care if I've changed their mind per se or have like influenced them to make a decision. I mean, if they start caring about their sleep health, that's great. But at the end of the day, I just want a space where people can come to the DMs, chat in the comments. Like my favorite thing is seeing other people talk in the comments and I'm not involved in it. Like when they're making those connections and helping each other out, that is like what warms my heart when I go to bed at night because I've given them a platform and a space to feel safe doing that.
Lindsay, content creation can be hard, especially when you're not feeling motivated or inspired. When you look at some of the things that you have created, what was maybe one that really stands out to you when that was a great one? It had great traction, had fun, I felt inspired. What did that moment look
Yeah.
like?
Yeah, I'm sure you guys can relate to this too, but like the frustrating thing with content creation and doing this is the ones that take the most efforts sometimes flop. And then the one that took no effort is like exploding and going viral. And I'm like, are you kidding me? That took 10 seconds. Like I went on a trip and I filmed all the different CPAP bags that I saw in the airport. And I think it's over 13 million views across. And that took no time to do and to post. But yeah, I've got like all my tutorials and like CapCut editing and like things on the screen and it's like 1,000 views. And so I think that that part can sometimes get frustrating because you don't know what's going to land, what's going to reach. And it can be discouraging sometimes when you put a lot of effort into it. But then when you get those wins and one does do really well, there is a really fun feeling of waking up to like thousands of notifications on your phone. You're like, hey, it was a good night overnight.
Awesome. Have you ever thought about, the sort of the cadence of serious content versus fun content where maybe you think, you know what, I've done 3 different videos on cleaning and filters and
Yeah.
those things. And although I will say, if anybody really follows you, I think that you make all of it fun, but the topics are certainly a little more serious and educational.
Yeah. And like I've definitely tried to be a bit more, I think, strategic around like understanding like what the audience does like and doesn't like. One thing that I am trying to get better about is I think becoming even a bit more vulnerable about like my journey, my whole health journey and that piece of it. That part I still I think struggle to get out there because it's like I just think that people want the education versus to learn about me. So I'm starting to share those bits and pieces of it, but it does feel weird. It feels like it's just a one-sided conversation on a dinner table the whole time. So, but trying to dabble that area too.
Sleep Tech Talk is sponsored by React Health. Within our LunaPAP device line, each offering is FDA approved, encompassing CPAP, APAP, bilevel, and bilevel ST models. Our thoughtfully selected array of PAP interfaces and accessories complement our LunaPAP device line while accommodating diverse patient requirements.
A sound sleep calls for a high-performing mask. Introducing F&P Nova Nasal with swing fit headgear. From fitting and seal to minimal noise and draft, it's performance defined. Go to fphcare.com/Nova Nasal to learn more.
Soulish is redefining how sleep apnea risk is identified. Using a simple selfie-style face scan, our AI delivers a sleep risk score in under a minute. The Soulish platform then connects providers to evaluation, testing, and therapy through one seamless pathway, because every patient deserves expert guidance wherever they are. Choose Soulish. One selfie, better sleep. Scan the QR code to know more.
Treating my sleep apnea has renewed my appetite for life. What matters to me now is giving my family a little treat.
So, Lindsay, that's a nice little segue into what I was going to ask you is, can you tell us a little bit about your journey into CPAP and then obviously where you are today?
Yeah. So about a year and a half ago, I was testing a home sleep test device, being in the space that I am in. I had done one in the past and also many times just avoided it, to be quite honest. Like my husband told me I snored, and I was like, that is the rudest thing you could have ever said to me. Like, we might need to get divorced tomorrow. Like, how dare you? And he was like, I'm concerned, and like, you're in the space and you should know. But yeah, I did a test. It said that I was fine. Fast forward a couple of years later, I've got some joint flare-up issues that I'm going through in terms of my medical. So I'm sleeping a lot on my back, more so than my side. Sleeping in general is challenging. I was testing this device. The results came back, and I was like, the device is faulty. That was my report on it. Right? I'm like, I don't know how to tell you this, guys, but the device is wrong and I am totally fine. So then going to some specialists and stuff, they're kind of like, so what are you doing about your sleep and have you considered? And I think that was kind of the moment where I looked myself in the eyes in the mirror and just said, Kate, I gotta start doing something about this. Got to start practicing what I preach. And that's when I started all of it. And I'm not a perfect CPAP patient either. Like, I'm very open about that on my channel. And it's hard. It's extremely hard. And I'm not the poster child. Like, I wasn't super tired or fatigued. And I don't wake up like, oh, this is the best day ever, because it's just one piece of the puzzle for me. But I try to do it for future Lindsay, because I'm sure all you guys know the benefits of when you are treating sleep apnea, and that's what keeps me motivated.
I love that, Lindsay. Only because I want you to take take a minute and tell us one part of your content. If we kind of go back a little bit, is
Yeah.
is the way that you told your parents that you were getting married or something around.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about that, because that's a pretty good part of your social.
Totally. Yeah. So yeah, that was like one video that I posted on TikTok that like went viral, that was completely outside the space, but sharing a bit more about me. So I think kind of on brand of not really wanting too much focus on myself, even though I'm a very extroverted person most of the time. I didn't want like a typical wedding. And the thought of like walking down the aisle and like everyone staring at me gave me tons of anxiety. So my husband and I agreed that we would do a surprise wedding. So I surprised all my friends, all my family members, told them the day of, like, surprise, this is not a dinner party. You are at our wedding. And it was so much fun. And I don't regret any of it. And so many people were like, wow, like, were people prepared? What were they wearing? But that was the best part of it. Like, everyone was so chill. They showed up wearing whatever they wanted to, and we just got to party all night. It was awesome.
Your parents' initial reaction wasn't completely chill.
No, not at all. My dad's initial reaction's like, what am I gonna wear? Like he could care less of what was actually happening. He's like, I need to go shopping. My mom too, that was her biggest priority, but and they almost didn't come, which is the funniest part too. They were like dragging their feet, like it's a lot to ask us to come to this dinner, you know, we have to drive 2 hours. I'm like, I think you're gonna want to be there. You won't want to miss it. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Well, and one other celebrity that I think enters your content on a regular basis is your dog. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I have two dogs. One's shy, so she doesn't make it in very often. But the other one is Willow, and I've had Willow for coming up to 2.5 years. She's 3 next month. She's a rescue from northern Canada in Manitoba. So we went to a event, and it was called like Dogs and Brews, which is a terrible combination of like having a beer with an adoption event, and I fell for it immediately. So we adopted her at the end of the event, and she came back, and they're the best. I love them.
So one beer you weren't going to do it. 2 beers you were considering it, and by beer
Bingo.
3, yeah, you were in.
He was in the car. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So, Lindsay, a question for you is, you do a lot of content, and especially to help women feel more comfortable using CPAP. Could you give a few tips for our audience here about
Yeah.
stuff that you talk about?
hmm One of the most frequently asked questions that like I get in the DMs is I'm embarrassed of like what's my partner going to think or my future partner. And I'm honestly like, if they're not supportive of you looking after your health, you should tell them to kick rocks and get out. Then that's my answer. If you at least you found that out early on, if they're not going to be a supportive partner, then that's something that you should kind of flag early on. And I also encourage people and women too to talk to either their doctor about it, their parents about it, their friends about it, and try not to keep it a secret. Like I even at first would like hide the machine on my nightstand when people came over just because you didn't want to be fully open about it. But once you do start to reveal that piece, it's exciting, right? Because then you can find many other people that are going through either similar things or different things, and you can get tips from.
And so, a fun question. If you could interview anybody for your podcast, who would you like to
Yeah.
interview? And then,
Ooh.
second question
Yeah.
is, as you sort of look at your content going forward, what are you beginning to imagine? What can your listeners look forward to as this year progresses?
Yeah, great question. I'm trying to think of like who to interview. That's a really good one.
The
Um,
Sleep Tech Talk crew, of course.
Yeah, of course. Done. Answered. Checked. Yeah. I know. I'm trying to think too. Like, I don't know if there's any celebrity per se or anything, because I feel like I sometimes have a bit of a hot take on that, but sometimes those people aren't relatable and they've got so many resources accessible to them that it might be a very different experience. So I can't think of anyone in particular, but I would also love someone to come forward, I think, in the celebrity space that does have sleep apnea and to be more vocal about it. So, as more people start to speak up about it, I'd love to start to interview those people. And I think like what's to come, and I don't know, to be totally honest with you. I'm kind of winging it. And like, as I had said earlier, no, Robert reached out to me, like, I think maybe like video 10. He was like, love what you're doing. Can we chat? And I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just having fun. There's sometimes a strategy and a method to the madness, but truly right now, I'm just having fun with it and just kind of want to see where it goes. And I take my inspiration from the comments too, like what other people want to see, and then that kind of drives the direction of where I go.
Well, Lindsay, I've had a vision for you for a long time.
Have you?
We haven't talked about this. Yeah, the whole idea around a sleep BFF as an advocate, for sleep
Yeah,
therapy as a whole, not
totally.
just for CPAP, but to me, I could see a group like a Project Sleep or one of the patient advocacy groups sort of adopting your whole platform of Sleep BFF and creating a network that allows people to plug in. Yes, maybe to get some of the great content, that is fun, but also to have resources and things that are available to patients and do it in a connected but sort of private way.
Yeah, and I love that too, because like sure that's my handle, but like you guys are all sleep BFFs too. Like you're all advocates in this space, and like I think so many people can have like an ally or someone that they can tap into and trust and talk about their sleep.
We copyrighted that concept just before the recording today, so
Locked in. I love it.
right. Well, it looks like we're probably getting close to time, and I usually when we get to this moment, this is when Jerry jumps in and gives us a last thought. So Lindsay will let Jerry make his comment, and then we'll.
Yeah.
So, Lindsay, before we close, I did want to ask, what's probably the most common question that you get on your channels, and probably the most common thing that you have to keep rephrasing over and over again?
Yeah, that is a very interesting one. I think it's probably like, oh, I'm a mouth breather, so I go on a full face mask. I think that that's something that I talk about quite a bit, is a lot of people go on a full face mask right out of the gate because they think that they need it, and that can be a barrier to them adopting CPAP and getting used to it. Or like I also get a lot of people too that are very early in their sleep journey and trying to figure out like how do I get a sleep test? What does that look like? Like what's the process? And being Canadian, I have like that perspective. I've worked in the US market a little bit, so I have some knowledge on it. But from a global perspective, it's so different in terms of how patients are kind of go through that journey. So I try my best to educate them and bring them along on the journey, but there's still a lot of work to be done from an educational standpoint.
Awesome. Thank you. That is very interesting. But we are out of time. Anything else that you want to talk about really quickly before we close?
No, I don't think so. Just super appreciate you guys inviting me on. Very honored to be on here today and appreciate your guys' energy too and believing in my content and bringing it to life. So really appreciate your
Uh,
support.
Lindsay, we're honored to have you, our sleep BFF, to be on our show here.
Yeah, all together. I love it.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. And folks out there, thank you all for joining us once again. And you can find Lindsay on the different social media at Sleep BFF. And we'll, of course, have the information in the show notes. But until next time, we say thank you so much and lights on.
Be sure to check out our clinical sponsor, Sleep Review Magazine. More details in show
All
notes.
right, another show in the books, and it means time for post cows. And man, that was amazing.
It
I
really
wish I had a quarter
was.
of that energy.
It's so fun to talk to people with that kind of energy that have bringing authenticity. Of course, she reminded me immediately of Emma. Emma, how she put her podcast together, and she's so authentic with her journey, and Lindsay's that as well. It's her story, it's her authenticity, her passion, her energy, and it's infectious. It was so fun to have her on today.
All right, so I have to admit, these post cows, I had this idea of the three of us coming into the scene with a mask on and some music in the background, in honor of Lindsay's content. And
We should
if
do that sometime.
yeah, if anybody hasn't seen it, like she has one with the song "No Air" in the music playing
Oh
in the
my
background.
gosh.
It's so
Wow.
good. It's so good.
I have seen that one. That is a good one. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. Well, she promised that she was going to pull us into some of that content at some point. So if she doesn't, I'm going to be upset because I think it's fun stuff.
Well, I hope it's inspiring, for those, as we see more and more of our friends and colleagues kind of enter into this space. I hope it's inspiring because it's just taking what you've got, putting your passion with it, and making some magic happen. And it does, as she even pointed out, it doesn't even have to be complicated. It just has to be something that connects with people. And she's making magic.
I find it very interesting, though, that when she started saying some of the things that she's got in her DMs and questions about CPAP, 10, 15, 20 years ago, these questions kept coming up back then, and people were afraid to talk about their CPAP and afraid to show it to their bed partner or potential mate or whatever. And those questions are still out today, even with so much exposure in the media. You actually see CPAPs in movies, in TV shows. They show it, and it's like something that's more common. And yet, this problem still exists in terms of exposure and fear towards the things. I'm really happy to hear that she's helping break down that specific barrier.
Well, it's interesting. I was reading through some stuff today, and the whole issue of women in sleep is still a tough issue. And to see someone so young that's really embracing this, obviously it's a part of her career, which helps immensely, but that still doesn't take away from some of the so-called shame of wanting, having to wear a mask, and not seem attractive. But to push past that, and not only push past it, but to broadcast it to the world so that others can see how easy it is and how important it is really extraordinary. And kudos to her for stepping out and doing that, creating that vulnerability, and of course the success that's coming with it.
Well, she certainly is blazing a trail in the world of social media and educational content all at the same time, and taking something that's very difficult for a lot of people to navigate, and trying to make it as fun as possible. And so Lindsay, fantastic. We're happy to know you, and glad that you were able to join us today, and even tell us some personal stories about your wedding, and how you shared that on social media as well. So thanks, Lindsay. We appreciate you.
Yeah, well
We
done.
definitely do. And folks out there, thank you. We appreciate you folks and continuing to join us. And a huge shout out once again to the sponsors. And until next time, we say cheers.